Well, it's time to find out how the rear end's doing. And, well, it means probably what you think it means. Not that. Good grief, Lloyd. Calm down. We're talking about a cat-eye Chevy. You know, the backstory. Not the backside. Well, that's what we're getting into. We're getting into the back.
What is going on?
You might remember from a video I made earlier, or maybe I got lazy and didn't actually make that video. But there's a '03 Silverado with 71 Z's in it for off-road, sitting right over here. Whee! Behind me. Affectionately known around here as the Purple Hornet, or the Pernurple, or the Purple Nurple, or I don't know. There's other names maybe. But check out that video about that. It's me, I'll throw a card maybe, or else I get lazy and I won't. You'll have to go look through the playlist. But there's probably a playlist on this truck. And if there's not, well, like I said, I'm lazy. So today what we've been doing, we're troubleshooting a problem. We've done all the stuff that you probably saw in the other video, but taking it down the highway, it seems like it's acting like it gets vibration-y. Once you get on the highway, you start getting a little shutter shake. Well, that could be a couple of things. It could be there's new tires on it, and they're not the most expensive ones I could find, I can tell you that. So it could be that the new tires on it, maybe there's a tire out around. Don't know. That could be. It's also possible that the soft line to the rear end is constricted, and maybe we got calipers binding, causing for calipers to heat up and warp relations, causing vibrations. Had that happening before. Not usually on both, but it's possible. And then there is, a single caliper. It does seem to be coming from the rear. Let's go ahead and say that out loud. It does seem like it's coming from the rear. It's not coming through the steering wheel. So in our troubleshooting, narrowing outerness, we're narrowing out front end stuff. So when we're just looking at my son's rear end, we're looking at possibly a stuck caliper, two stuck calipers because of a soft line, wheel bearing actually could also be a thing. So what we're going to do right now is try to narrow out the wheel bearing. And when it comes to the rear end of a solid axle pickup, a wheel bearing is actually in the end of the axle. This is what's called a semi-floating, not a full floating, semi-floating, C-clip style retained axle. And I've had a couple wobble pops, so me explaining to you what that means is way beyond my reach right now. But let's just say, hang on. As soon as I turn on a video to make, every police siren in town is going off. I don't really live in that bad of a neighborhood, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Let's just say there's your rear end, pumpkin, your differential housing. And then if we follow that over this way, can you follow that? This is like a sobriety test. Out to the end of the axle housing. So there's the center of the axle housing. We're following it, right? Just with your eyes. Easy there, feller. Just with your eyes. Out here to the end. And at the end of that axle housing, there's a bearing inside of it. And the actual axle that does the twisty, that makes the tire go woo woo. Yeah, that one. It's connected in there and it retained with a C-clip. And if we get to popping the lid at some point, I'll show you what that means. But trust me, there's a C-clip. It retains the axle. It's got the gears interacting with it on the splines, twisting the torsion down here, interacting with the wheel, which is carrying the tire, which when it spins it, it makes it go forward. You're welcome. Anyway, that wheel bearing in there, if it's got excessive play in it, or there's excessive wear on the axle that's riding in that wheel bearing, you can end up with a little bit of a shimmy shake vibration on the highway. Now that's one of several causes we've already outlined, so we want to eliminate or determine whether that's the case in this case. And if that looks funny to you, it's because, well, the dust cover pretty well rusted off. We didn't worry about it. Alright, so what we're going to do to eliminate or possibly not eliminate wheel bearings from being the cause of the vibration is that we're going to jack up the rear end. And I'm probably going to shove the floor jack straight under the pumpkin / differential housing, the center of the axle, the part that's pumpkin-y shaped-ish, if you use your imagination. We're going to jack up the truck, and then I'm just going to grab the tire and see if it clunks around a bunch. It's pretty simple, really. If there's a lot of play in there, the bearing's worn out, it'll clunk around. If it doesn't clunk around too much, I mean, there's an acceptable tolerance. I mean, if it gets really bad, if your wheel bearing gets really bad, eventually it'll wear out the wheel bearing seal, which is what holds the oil in the rear end. And I hope we don't get to the point where we're tearing down that. Who knows? We might. If that's the problem, we will. But yeah, that's how you're going to check. You're going to jack up the rear end, both wheels off the ground. You grab a hold of the tire, and maybe you grab a pry bar even, and throw it underneath the bottom of the tire, and just give it some leverage, you know. And you're looking for, you know, up and down, side to side, you know, clonk, 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 clonk. If there's a bunch of clonk, and that's a metric term, actually, bunch of clonk, German root word and all that. If there's a bunch of clonk, it's probably worth checking out, you know, if you got bad things going on your axle where it rides in the bearings, etc. So, that's enough yapping. Let's get to jacking. Alright, so here's what we got. I told you. You know, we threw the old, it's been leaking oil for a while, and we, you know, we just ignore it. But we got air under our tire on both sides. So now, can you see what I'm talking about? I don't know, the lighting's not so great, but here, let me just leave that there. Does that help? Not really. How about that? Does that help? There you go. Shh. Oh. So what we're going to do is just grab it, kind of by the bottom. I'm going to grab the rear end right around the bottom and just kind of give it a little. Oh. And then we like to grab it on the side and give it a little. And maybe grab it on the bottom again, you know, if you liked. It's really, it doesn't seem like there's a lot. And then what a guy could do, let me think here for a second. Hey Jake, go ahead and smash down the brake all the way to the floor, and then let off her it. Oh, there's the brake. Okay, let off her it. Well, well, disc brakes do that. I mean, they're never perfectly straight. But what it's not doing is it's not binding and grabbing. So we're not finding a ton of play in the wheel bearings. This is kind of like if you pull up from the bottom, usually. If you had loose wheel bearings, you kind of feel a clunk. I'm not feeling that. I'm going to run to the other side just for fun. And we're going to come over here and try the same thing. You just pretend like you're watching me. Yeah. Once again, there's not a clonk. No clonking. So, now that tells us a couple of things that are actually quite important. Because it's not always the best thing. Well, I take it back. It's always the best thing to know what's wrong. But if you know it's not wrong, that gets you on the way to knowing what's wrong. It's sort of like that saying, you're either winning or learning, right? So we learned that it doesn't appear the wheel bearings have a ton of play. It doesn't appear that the brakes are binding and not letting go. So we can narrow those out and say, well, maybe it's U-joint. Maybe it's just a tire out of round. I did just buy these tires, and my parameters for buying these tires were I wanted them to look cool and be cheap. So, you know, when be cheap is part of the parameters, it's always a possibility we got a tire out of round. It's happened to me before. And they don't really show up till you jump on the highway. And that's sort of what's happened here. It's not the worst vibration I've ever run into, but it's noticeable and it's kind of annoying. So what we're going to do next, since we got the rear end up in the air, and it seems like the safest thing to do, let's go ahead and have you fire it up, put it in drive, and I'm going to just kind of eyeball with my flashlight the tires as they rotate. And if we got something that's obviously out of round, if you just kind of set your eyeballs on the tire while it's rotating, it should show itself off. So we're going to do that next. If I can find a way to film that, I will. Trust me. Alright, well, hang on. I got to open this back door. I was about to start talking, but I realized it's getting a little woozy. Carbon monoxide is bad for you, they say. Alright, well, let me see if you can tell me what's going on here. We're looking at the drive shaft. Yeah, I don't see any problems there. Here, look at that leaf spring while I shine a light on the tire. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Look harder. Look at the shadow on the leaf spring. Can you see the shadow on the leaf spring? Yeah, not only that, Don't pay any attention to that grinding on the brake disc noise. That's normal, actually, believe it or not. Alright, let me shine a light past this tire. Trying to get the camera over here. I'm holding that light still, by the way. You see how the shadow is moving? I mean, wow. I knew we had some vibration going down the highway. But that's pretty wild. I didn't expect that I had that big of flat spots on the tires. Mind you, these are brand new tires as of July of last year, so it's not like they're old. But meanwhile, you know, this rig sits a lot. Kid's a permit driver, you know, maybe at least every other weekend the thing gets some time on it. So the fact that there's that big of flat spots on the tires, no wonder she shakes a little on the highway. So I don't know, maybe this is just a giant review for, hey, hit the brakes, would you? All-terrain trail guide tires. But I'm kind of shocked at how much obvious out around those tires are. And it makes me wonder about the front ones too. But the front ones probably have enough weight on them. That's why it felt like it was coming from the back. Is there's weight on the front, which is over there, you know, towards the front. So it's going to squish and flex the tires down and make them act a little more uniform even when they're not. But on the back, I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, there's like no weight. So if you got a little wobble in your tire, it's going to show off a lot more when it's on a rear tire. So maybe all four tires are goofy. I did not pay top dollar for these tires. That was actually a requirement on my shopping list. But it sounds like it's time to take it back to the tire place and say, hey, what's up with these tires? Or maybe it just needs driven more. That could be it too. If it was just driven every day, wouldn't get flat spots on it from sitting. But anyway, that I think we're going to wrap it up for there. Hope you're having a great whatever you're having. Everything's going your way. And like, subscribe, click the buttons. It helps the channel, honestly. And if you want to help out financially, support the channel, I try to remember to put a link in the description for an Amazon affiliate thing. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but if you're going to buy stuff anyway, I mean, you're already shopping there, go ahead, click the link, do your shopping. It doesn't affect anything about what you pay. But, I mean, if somebody's not getting the affiliate link commission money, then Amazon's just keeping it. Jeff Bezos gets to take another rocket ride or something, but I could be buying brake pads instead. So I'd appreciate it if you do that. I appreciate it if you hit the like. I appreciate it if you hit the subscribe. I appreciate, as of the time of this filming, which is February 19th, I think, 2023, I appreciate all 45 of my subscribers. Every single one of you. Thank you very much. Actually, you wouldn't believe how tickled I am. It's a little irrational how tickled I am about the subscribers I got recently. And check out the Jake's Masturbates channel. And yeah, Nick Dawson Fishing and Outdoors. What else can I say? It's the tires. It's just the tires. It's the one thing that I can't run out and fix. I gotta take, well, I can. I take it back to the tire place and say, what's going on? Oh, well, except tomorrow's President's Day. You know, they might not be open because people don't work on President's Day. Anyway, catch you soon. Thanks for watching. Now, when you ask your kids, he's only months away from 16. Park your rig in the driveway. It's nice to have a 16-year-old kid because you can have a brew or two and say, hey, kiddo, time to learn to drive. Who had a brew or two?